Hutchison remote?
Yes, he is.
Yes, okay, good.
We're good to go.
All right, let's call this meeting to order. Finance Committee, April 9th, 2024, 4:35 PM. B, roll call, Alder Hutchison, Alder Galvin, Alder Burnett, Alder Johnson are all present. Item C, approval of the agenda for April 9th, 2024. Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Galvin, a second by Burnett. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item D, approval of minutes of the Finance Committee meeting from February 27th, 2024.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Burnett, a second by Galvin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. E, regular business. 1, consideration with possible action regarding the financial commitment and payment to Wello for $125,000 related to the JBS Urban Farm Development to be reimbursed by the Neighborhood Investment Grant. Are there any
Alder,
questions?
can you hold a moment?
Yep.
Looks like Alder Hutchinson couldn't hear, and now it looks like he jumped off.
Okay, we still have quorum, so we can keep moving.
Alder
Unless you want to
Hutchinson, are
wait.
you having problems hearing?
Yeah, I can barely hear.
Is it because I'm talking fast? Quiet? Can you hear me
No,
now?
it's, your mic is way low. I mean, that's what it appears.
IT's looking at it. Hold tight, Jim.
Let's pick the top one. Okay, try it now. Is that
All
better?
right, Jim, is this any better? Jim, can you hear me now? I'm going to take that as a no.
You want to try the volume on the computer too sometimes?
See, let you try. You go to the volume, let's make sure the
What else?
volume. Go over to the.
Hold tight, Jim. How convenient that Dave was here, huh?
Who's that?
IT.
I think what he's doing is he's picking up the microphone from your laptop, so go back to Zoom, let's make sure it's set.
Just let Jim know.
Exit totally go. What's next? Settings. See, it's picking this up. It's wide open, so it should be good. Yeah, if you can't hear, we'll go back to the laptop one. And maybe look at it in the future. I don't know why your laptop didn't pick it up. Is it right?
Last meeting, huh? Do you have any more?
Thank you, Dave. So glad you were here.
Is this the last day for everybody, or the other ones have meetings every one?
Usually Wednesdays or.
Alder, we did end up not changing any settings. We didn't find anything that wasn't correct.
Okay. Jim, can you hear us?
I can hear you a lot better now, yes.
Okay, he's also louder, so. Okay, so we were on, let me see, we were on E1. Are there any questions? Is there anyone, I see, looks like Terry Yang is here from Wello. Terry, did you want to speak? If so, we can open the floor.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'll make a motion.
Is Ahmad in the room as well?
1 second, Terry, we'll open the floor real quickly. I'll make a motion to
Motion
open.
open the floor.
So we got a motion by Johnson, second by Alder. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Tara, if you just go ahead, say your name, your address. Ahmad is not in the room, so the floor is yours.
All right, awesome. My name is Tara Yang. My address is 1706 Chateau Drive, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54304. Thank you so much, elders, for opening the floor and allowing me to speak and share a little bit more about this partnership. Some of you may be familiar with my affiliations with the city. To be transparent, I serve as chair for the Green Bay Equal Rights Commission, and I serve as chair for the Green Bay Economic Development Authority Committee. However, today I will be speaking on behalf of Wello as their official food systems transformation manager. A quick review about my background and expertise. I have over a decade of experience as an entrepreneur and business developer. I've worked on developing some of Minnesota's most well-known food hubs, cooperative markets, shared kitchens, and agricultural cooperatives. So today, my priority is to share with you some responsibilities and the partnership, why the partnership between Wello and Green Bay is really important. My number one goal is to, of course, fulfill the terms of agreement between the organization and the city of Green Bay with due diligence and high integrity. But I really want to make sure that we're always keeping the community at the forefront of our actions. Some actions, and some of those actions include developing and implementing strategic plans to guide the direction of the activities of this food transformation hub, generate insights and recommendations, engage with the community to understand the needs, co-create solutions and drive systemic change, foster innovation and entrepreneurship, and cultivate partnerships with funders and networks and local municipalities. All of these, of course, are listed in the scope of work in the attachment that I believe all of you have received. The first phase focuses on funding. We have applied and completed all of phase one already. Wello has funded my salary during that phase one time so that we can complete all of that with due diligence. And the second phase, that's where we're currently at right now, creating those partnerships with local organizations and stakeholders. And then the third phase is one of the most important phases, which is to create sustainability for the longevity of the JBS site. So as you can see, there's $250,000 in total for the agreement. I believe today we're just talking about the first $125,000. But the total agreement will fund the activation and operationalization of the kitchen space in the farmland. So, as I said, currently where we're at is creating those important partnerships with local and statewide organizations to really activate this space.
Great. Thank you for that background. Committee, are there any questions?
I don't have any.
Okay. Looks like we have no questions, Tara, so thanks again for joining us and sharing that perspective.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak on this item? If not, we'll entertain a motion to close the floor.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Brunetta, second by Galvin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah.
Alder Burnett?
For staff, I'm not sure, would this be Director Ellenbecker?
I can try to answer it.
From the, what was included in the packet, it said phase one was October 23 to December 23. So that is complete. So why are we authorizing payment at this point for the phase that seems to be, is it complete? Is the phase complete?
It is complete, yes. I think there's some, not miscommunication. This contract should have come through, and so that's why I'm asking for approval for the scope of work, the contract, and then this payment, because I really can't pay them $125,000 at this point because I don't have the contract approved to pay that, that kind of dollar amount. Typically, you would have the agreement paid ahead of time or a purchase order put in place. Once that's approved, then any payment that goes along with that agreement or that purchase order, at that point, then we can process. But at this point, we don't have committee and council approval to pay this dollar amount. That's why they're really being brought together.
Yeah.
So the project has been started, as you have heard.
Was there like a verbal commitment made, like from some, because I guess it seems a little backwards, like we're asking for funds to be dispersed for work that had already been completed?
Correct.
Was this kind of go through RFP process? Like how was this particular, and I have nothing against Wello, I think they're an incredible organization, but whenever we allocate these sorts of public dollars, I'm always curious about how they were chosen versus other providers, and like what was the process that got us to this point? Was there verbal commitments made by people?
This being, this is the one that, being a contractual item that they would not have had to go out for a full RFP. I'm not 100% sure how this was all, I'm actually not sure. I don't have the answer to that one, to your question. Yes, you're right, it seems backwards, and like I said, this is something that for that dollar amount, I need a permission. You're right, the project has
Yeah.
already started. We can certainly get that answer for you and see what the process was and how they chose this vendor.
Yeah, I'm aware, I mean, obviously, I'm gone, so this is like my very last meeting, so it would be for the benefit of the new council. So like, I don't want to vote no, because I support Wello. I think it's probably a very good project, but I'll probably, without the details, I'll probably just abstain, just out of the weirdness of me not being there at the full council meeting.
Okay.
But that's just my thoughts.
And I think to provide some additional clarity, and I mean, those are good questions, right? It's, this is related to that $5 million state grant, where obviously we did approve that grant with actual
Correct.
deliverables within the grant. And this, I presume, is just one of the partners that's creating the deliverables for that grant requirement?
Correct, and when that grant requirement was brought through, there was mention of an urban farm at
Right.
in there. And so, correct, this is just really formality, just, getting through the payment, having approval for that large book payment.
Yep, okay. Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Just abstain.
And one abstention, so 301.
Thank you.
Okay, item 2, consideration with possible action regarding a resolution authorizing the continuation of the city's self-insured workers' compensation program. Any questions?
Motion approved.
We'll second that.
Second.
Motion. Okay, we'll take Hutchinson. Motion by Galvin, second by Hutch. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion
Aye.
carries. Item 3, consideration with possible action on accepting a $250,000 grant from the Brown County Public Health for the establishment of a mobile integrated health, MIH, paramedic program for Green Bay Metro Fire Department. Any questions?
Yep.
Alder Galvin.
Chief, could you just, I think I understand what this is, but I want to make sure.
Sure. The idea of this grant is, so the concept of a mobile integrated healthcare paramedic program or community paramedics is really to take a proactive approach to service that we provide. So the idea is that we work collaboratively with our partners in the community to identify at-risk populations or individuals specifically. We would then proactively approach them, make sure that their healthcare needs are met, get them in touch with various services throughout the community, and really improve their quality of life is a big goal. This has been very successful nationwide. The agency I was on with before also had a very successful program. The purposes of this grant and the deliverables of this grant is to test its feasibility here in our community. So the health department is supporting this 100% through this grant that is pass-through dollars through their ARPA funds, specifically donated or dedicated to COVID response. So this grant will allow us to have a trial period, have people in training, procure all the costs fully loaded. That includes software, computers, cell phones, lease of a vehicle in the future, and then also fully loaded costs for 2 individuals to do this program. We gather the data and metrics and determine our long-term feasibility for this as we move forward.
So we're going to take ARPA money from Brown County. We're going to hire 2 new firemen
We're
to
going to take.
replace the 2 that are promoted to this position.
Correct.
Which means we'll have 2 more paramedics trained up eventually to replace them.
Yes.
Because these guys aren't available
These would not
to
be-
work a rig, right?
Right, they would be, yes, correct.
So either we start paying overtime to replace the 2 that are in this program, or we hire 2 more and then get them trained up and into the rigs.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
The costs are fully loaded, so it covers
Right.
the full cost of those individuals. We're going to hire 2 individuals. If the program continues, then we'll have this conversation of increasing our staff.
So are we gonna
If-
run short then on
If it doesn't
paramedics?
continue, we would then, just through attrition, we expect many retirements at the end of this year. They would just go back on
Sure.
company, on shift.
But we're gonna run short on paramedics then for a year or so to see how this works out.
We've actually hired appropriate numbers, so we would be okay. in good
Well, okay,
position. Yes.
these 2 guys go over here,
Right,
we take 2 kids off the street and hire them. They're not paramedics, they're firemen.
sure.
So now we're short 2 paramedics. So are we gonna train up 2 more guys as paramedics?
Not in that short term. Yep.
Short-term being a
This is
year?
a 6-month period.
6-month
Yep.
period, all right.
Yep,
And this will cover any overtime costs that are
Correct.
incurred by that?
Correct.
Okay.
yep,
And then we're gonna look at the metrics afterwards.
yep.
Because, and I don't remember what the exact number was, but there was some numbers put out there from other areas that, what was it, 10 to 20-some% reduction in,
Yeah, we hope to see, and again, that's one of the metrics we'll look at, is a reduction of calls for service, especially low acuity calls, and again, taking that more proactive approach to our response.
so are you gonna do like the PD's mental health team? Are you going to identify people that we tend to have more contact with?
That's correct.
So we'll go to their individual homes and meet up with them and just say, hey, how you doing? And then if they observe anything or the person asks for some assistance, they'll help them get there.
Correct, and in touch with community partners.
Right.
for those. Yep,
Right.
just to help connect some of those dots. Yeah, and like I said, the program itself has been very successful, and, you know, we've measured, some of the metrics we're gonna look at is really patient satisfaction and their quality of life. We see
Sure.
a significant increase in reduction of calls for service, but also less hospital visits, you know, and less, a lower healthcare spend.
An overall positive impact on our
Correct.
community, which reduces some of the strain, stress, and costs.
Correct. And again, we can't keep trying to do the exact same thing we're doing. You know, this is more of an innovative program that.
This is
really works.
proactive instead of reactive.
Correct.
Okay, I like it. Thank you.
Alder Burnett?
Chief, when you have an ambulance respond to a call, crisis call, usually it's 2, 3, 4 people
Yeah,
and a
it
fire
depends.
truck?
Yep, usually there would be 4 on our fire engine and then two individuals on the ambulance itself.
So you have, you know, if it's a lower, okay, so the person experiencing the crisis, mental health, medical health, whatever it is, we have to assume in their perspective, it's a serious call.
Correct.
Hindsight or through your investigation, tracking data, it's probably not. So if this program wasn't in place, which it isn't now, you potentially could have 6 personnel responding to a call that really shouldn't elicit much of a call at all.
Correct. Correct. And again, that does pull that need, or that vehicle out of service for that period of time that they would not be able to respond to more high acuity calls. You know, we look at this program as taking that more proactive approach. So it's not really, we don't really intend it, at least to start with, to be dispatched in lieu of our current response. But we do see it as a way of identifying some of our key utilizers of the services, and then be able to take those as a more proactive approach and ultimately prevent those calls from occurring in the first place.
So so I'm going to abstain. I mean, this isn't being implemented to directly affect my professional work. However, it will, because Chief, for the sake of the community, can kind of explain that some of the homeless population who right now would call a paramedic for certain circumstances, these particular people could develop a relationship and reach those unhoused population in a much more prudent use of resources.
Okay. Any other questions?
Motion to approve?
I think we already have that, or did we not? No, we don't. We get a motion by Galvin.
Second.
Second by Hutch. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0 to 1. Okay. Item 4, consideration of possible action to approve the purchase of an Aruba Core switches for the City Hall. Sorry, I got a bad glare here. For a total cost of $128,942 funded by ARPA allocation. Any questions? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Galvin, a second by Burnett. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion
Aye.
carries. Item 5, consideration of possible action to approve the purchase of 19 EA 2024 Ford Police Inspector Utility Vehicles, KBA AWD, for the City of Green Bay Police Department for $42,783 each, for a total cost of $812,877 from bonded funds. Questions?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Burnett. Alder Burnett.
Chief, there were supply chain issues in the past with police vehicles. Is that still the case this time around, or?
No, it's getting a lot better. Actually, our dealership that we work with has 8 of these ready for us right now. And so the reason why you're seeing so many of these is we're using some 2023 bonded funds that we still had left over. So we're just hopefully going to get caught up now in this year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, good questions. All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed,
Aye.
motion carries. Item 6, consideration with possible action to approve the purchase of 12 Motorola APX 8500 radios and 1 APX 8500 all-band radio for the Command Center Communications for a total of $97,990.75. Questions?
Yep.
Alder Galvin.
Command Center, is this the new one that we're buying?
That's correct, that's Goodbye Police and Fire vehicle.
Okay, good. I was just gonna say, I can't believe we'd be spending money on the old command one, and we got a new one coming. All right, real good, that's all.
Okay,
Motion approved?
we have a motion by Galvin.
Second.
Second by Brunette. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, consideration of possible action to approve the award of forward appraisal for the services revaluation for a total cost of $225,000 for the 2027 revaluation. This is to meet the minimum, like 5-year policy that we adopted, is that right?
Correct,
Because 2027 is the 5-year framework?
correct.
And it's-
We had one in 2022, then 2027 would be the 5th year.
And then it looks like you are using Wisconsin Trust Fund loan to pay for this?
No, that was just an assumption. That is what we used last time.
Okay.
But this time we were going to, we will be bringing it back probably at budget time to decide, is it a budget item or will we be bonding for it? But we will be starting to pay for these costs, I believe, in 2026 and 27. So we will be concerning it. I will try to put it in the operating budget. And then if for some reason
Yep.
it does not make it into there, then I would look to borrow for it. But
Yeah, and that would be
expect
my
operating
preference,
budget.
is to see that budgeted. We can forecast that item, we know it's coming.
Yep.
The other piece of that is just ensuring, I think as part of that policy, that you would continue to bring the values to council every year so that if we needed to order it sooner, we could have the ability to do that. And I have no idea where the, equalized values stand right now, but, and I think, when are those determined, that you can bring those to us?
Russ is, the assessor is online if you would like to ask that.
Hey, Russ.
That question?
Hi. As far as values go, generally, the sales are reviewed for the previous year, and then the state will give us a unofficial number. We have our unofficial number from this year. We're looking right around 75 to 78% of market value. So we're out of compliance like the second year after the reval. So, which is normal with the market as hot as it is. So, 5-year cycle will keep us within the range where the state will not be able to order us to a revaluation, because 5 years is what they look at for a cycle to be out when you're out of compliance. So there's never going to be, if we continue with the 5-year cycle, there'll never be a time that the state will be able to order us to do one.
Okay. So we're already at 75 and we have to be at 90, is that right?
Yeah, between 90 and 110.
So I
It's
think,
wild.
Russ, is that, I think you want to maybe explain a little more, that there were a lot of people that thought that we were taking at the height of the market, and yet that, it has continued to decline, or not decline, actually really gotten better. Russ, if you wanted to explain that a little more, what that number means.
Sure. We have seen over the past several years, when the market was really hot, we were going up 8-9% per year on the residential side and maybe 4% on the commercial side. Currently, we're probably running at about 5% increase on average for a year for this coming year. Even with the increase in the rates for mortgages, it hasn't really affected the amount of prices that people are getting for the existing homes and the newer homes. What happens is that there's limited supply, and that still drives up the price. You probably noticed even the things that are around Landville Field, 2-3 blocks behind Shadow Lane, that still has impacted that area as far as the values going up. So that is something we've also kept an eye on. Anything along the water, along the bay, has increased exponentially, and even in the areas such as around Red Smith School, the houses that are being sold and turned over several times since they were constructed, maybe 10 years ago, have gone up, 50% the first time and then another 25% the second time over the past, say, 7 years. So the market hasn't really slowed up that much. It has cooled a bit, but if they do decrease the rates come this fall, we'll see another explosion of value increases. And that's just something we'll have to take in consideration as we're planning for the reval. We'll review the sales, and the sales that we're looking at now that's what they're indicating. That we're at probably about 75% of market.
Hey Russ, when you did a revaluation last time, if I recall correctly, comps were pulled from within a mile of the property, is that correct?
Well, we try to get it within a neighborhood, which is generally, a mile or so in diameter. West side's a little bit bigger, so maybe a 2-mile radius, but we're trying to stay within the east side with comps on the east side, west side with the west side, so we understand that. But as far as the comps go, we're looking at probably just the prior 2 years like we did this last time, so we're not looking at the current year. So if we did the revale in 2022, we reviewed the 2022 sales, but we didn't use them to actually establish the values, as maybe some people actually thought, but we used the prior 2 years, 20 and 21.
Well, and what I'm thinking about in particular, we had a number of residential, homeowners around that Lambeau Field area in particular that were really clobbered through the revaluation process. I understand it's a little bit of a tricky predicament because some of them are being used commercially, but obviously you have a lot of folks over there that have occupied their homes for a long, long time, and their property taxes were significantly increased because of the revaluation. Is there anything that we can do to protect homeowners who are in those unique circumstances?
Unfortunately, I can't look at who owns the property when I take into consideration the value of the property. I mean, in the real world or in a world that would be happily for the property owners, that would be something we could take into consideration along with age and income. But when we're looking at property values, according to Department of Revenue regulations and state statutes, we're required to look at comparable properties that have sold recently. And the ones that are selling, they aren't the ones that are already made into Airbnbs and the like. These are houses that are similar to the ones that have been in existence since the 60s and maybe not a lot of remodeling done. And they're selling for $300,000, $350,000 for 12, 1,300 square foot ranch. What they're doing then is basically taking it down to the bare studs, remodeling it, adding features that will people from the outside come to see either a Packer game or perhaps activities at the rec center will be happy to spend the money to stay there. So until that slows down, I don't see a whole lot of change that we can do. But like I said, we're looking at 3 or 4 blocks, to the north of Shadow Lane, which was the biggest impact. Is still the houses are selling for quite a bit above the assessed value. And that's contributing to our fact that we're at 75% of market now versus, closer to 90.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Can you pull from the state statute define what radius you need to pull from, right? And so again, I'm thinking about mom and pop, right, who have lived in that same house for 40 years, and because of what's happening around them, their property taxes are getting unsustainable. And how can you pull a more accurate comp from a mile or two away, which is a homeowner occupied house versus a house that's being used for an alternative commercial purpose?
It depends upon where the house is located. I mean, if the houses up and down the block are selling for, say, potential Airbnb or commercial purposes, we can't ignore that fact that the neighbors are selling for that, and it's probably potentially that the existing property that we're talking about would be under the same situation. What you're asking basically is to do is kind of ignore the local market and move farther away from that particular property to come up with a comparable that would come up with a lower value. That's not something that processes in assessing will allow. We have to be comparing to the most comparable property, which would indicate anything that's in that vicinity of that property. Most of them are selling within that block or two, and if we go a mile away, that's a different market.
Okay, yeah, and I appreciate that insight. I'm just, again, I feel obviously for these folks who have been so negatively impacted, even though they haven't changed the use of their property. Right. It's what's going on around them. You're really seeing a neighborhood going through a dramatic change, right? In terms of use and renovation, investment, everything.
Correct.
So, okay,
Well, it's the same situation we have along the water, on the bay. Houses have been there, people have lived there for, 50, 60 years, but then you get a house next door that somebody buys, and then they remodel it, and then that impacts the houses that haven't been purchased yet. So it's something that, we struggle with every year when they come in and talk to us about their values. And once we explain to them what the market is and what the houses are selling for, because most people aren't really into the market unless they're looking at buying or selling a property, they aren't aware of the increase in the value. So once we explain it to them, they fairly understand it, but they may not be happy with it, and that's where we get the issues.
yeah, okay. Appreciate the insight. Any other questions? Okay, so Diana, just to clarify again, you're looking for approval on the contract, but the funding source will be identified later?
Correct.
Okay, everybody good with that?
This is really planning the vendor that is going to help us do the reval.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Galvin, a second by Burnett. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 8, consideration with possible action to approve the purchase of audiovisual equipment for council chambers from ACP Creative IT LLC for a total cost of $130,731.76, funded by ARPA allocation. Questions? Entertain a motion.
To approve.
Second.
Motion by Galvin, second by Burnett. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. F, informational, number 1, 2024 contingency account stands at $241,350. Item 2, the next Finance Committee meeting will be held on April 30th, 2024 at 4:30 PM. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Galvin, second by Burnett. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Congratulations, Alder Burnett.
No, thank you.
Should have said that.